5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I should overcome. What for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no challenge for champions and chain no fear. Yeah, the champions, yeah.
Good morning, everybody. It's another wonderful day in the neighborhood here at Paleocrat Diaries. I'm your host, Jeremiah Bannister. It's Wednesday, October 7th, 10 a.m. Same bat time, same bat channels, plural. I want to thank everybody who's watching on the various different mediums, whether that is Periscope or whether it's YouTube or whether it's Facebook, all over the place. And there's other ones too. I don't know which ones those are. I don't know if it's DLive or what's going on. We've got a great show for you, a whole bunch of excellent topics. Of course, we're going to begin with a lot of fun. We do this every single day. It's a morning show. You know, I remember when I was on the line, you know, I'd wake up real early and, you know, work in different jobs. I worked golf courses and restaurants and things like that. I remember being able to listen and enjoying the morning show and hearing the fun guys talking. In Michigan, we've got a couple of them, free beer and hot wings, the Bob and Tom show, different things like that. Really fun, right? A lot of good times. And I want to be able to start the day the same way and say, look, I don't want you to be super sad. I want you to be super happy and geared out of your mind on caffeine. And today, we're going to need a lot of it, guys. We are going to need a lot of it because caffeine to the dome, I'm telling you. I have to do it through a straw. You know, it's like supercharged cold brew black coffee right to the skull. And because we've got some pretty intense stuff. Even the memes are pretty intense. We're going to try to avoid too many of the sad stuff. You know, I don't want a bunch of sad things, right? We are going to have to begin with one though. But it's just the way it goes, right? People come, people go, death is part of life. Okay. In fact, I would really encourage people, on a serious note, I would really encourage people to read a book called Preparation for Death. And it is by St. Alphonsus Liguori. That is my patron by confirmation. And so, yeah, so my Catholic name would be Jeremiah Thomas Alphonsus Maria Bannister. Okay. So it's a long one. I've got Alphonsus Maria in there. He's a Marian saint. And he wrote a book. It's actually per his custom. He kind of does this all the time. He's got different reflections throughout the day. So you can go in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night. They're pretty short. And at the end, he's got prayers that you can do to kind of pray thematically along with what he's been talking about. But that's a book that'll drive you to your knees. And it really puts you in a place where you understand that we're mortal. And that we're here for a time. And as fun as it might be, you know, watching shows like this and things like that this is actually very serious and that life is a very serious thing and that we will all one day die. In fact, that's where we get the idea on the show here for Memento Mori. In fact, it's the last thing that we say every single show. We end with the hashtag mottos of my daughter who passed away from childhood brain cancer. And that was never give up, keep on smiling, and Memento Mori. So death is part of this. And we talk about that. We're not afraid to talk about that. You know, you kind of go through what I've been through, and it's not as scary to talk about anymore. It's, in fact, an urgent thing. It's a necessary thing. And you start to understand and even appreciate that, as well as realizing it is not as hard as you think to talk about the birds and the bees. So we're going to move directly into the news for the day. As I said, we got a whole bunch of really great stories. If you don't notice, I don't know if you guys catch this, but I always share ahead of time. I always share some kind of meme, right, promoting it, and it has some of the topics on there. And so whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on Twitter, I try to share them on YouTube as well. I've been using that story feature, but, you know, not too sure about that. You know, I'm just getting cranked up with that anyway, right? So, but it has a bunch of the stories on there. And we're going to start right away, right now, with this one. Super sad news, and I have to admit, though, Truth is, I don't really know much about Eddie Van Halen. And this is weird because I love rock music. I was talking to my buddy Chad. We co-host Paleo Cheese together, a podcast about movies and books, and now it's just kind of whatever. We've even debated things like cologne. we've talked about issues like the rise and the fall of malls and their mall rats and stuff like that. The ethics of what should you do if you have a burglar come into your home and things like that. We were talking about Eddie Van Halen. He was listening to Van Halen all day long, and I was seeing this in my feed, and I should have known. Whenever you see something like that, it probably, to be honest, it probably has to do with the passing of somebody, where a lot of people on Facebook are talking about it. Because I saw a lot of my friends doing this. It's kind of like the Kurt Cobain story I said a while back, where I was listening to the radio and I was really confused as to, I loved it, but I was confused as to why they were playing like 7 or 8 Cobain songs in a row. I said, well, what is this? The Nirvana hour, I guess. And it come to find out he had passed away. So Eddie Van Halen passed away. Legendary Van Halen guitarist dies of cancer, age 65. My buddy told me, he said, look, even though you may not know, oh, and look at this, what the heck? I had a situation like this. Let's see if we can refresh this bugger. Let's see if we can refresh it. Is it going to let me do it? Okay. There we go. Eddie Van Halen died at age of 65. My buddy told me, he said, look, even though you may not know much about Van Halen, and it kind of is, signified in what I've said before about not identifying too much with the people of Gen X in a way, and that I have a lot of friends who are millennials, a lot of friends younger than me. I'm at the tail end of the Gen X crowd. Gen Xers, man, most of them know Eddie Van Halen. He played a big role in their lives. I saw him on a poster at my neighbor's house. I mean, it's just a fact. If I heard songs by Eddie Van Halen, I would be like, well, yeah, I've played those before. But just saying, oh yeah, man, let me go look up an Eddie Van Halen song. To be really honest, I wouldn't know. And he said it kind of doesn't matter in a way, because Eddie Van Halen, the influence that he had on music and on other guitarists, you have heard Eddie Van Halen, right? That his influence was vast. The legendary guitarist and founder of Van Halen had battled throat cancer for 10 years. Eddie enjoyed enormous success in the 1980s with his multi-selling rock group and collaborated with a number of artists, including playing the iconic guitar solo on Michael Jackson's Beat It. Again, I've heard that. I've played that. I've done DJ work, man. I've done DJ work. At roller rinks and other things. I mean, I've played a lot of songs that have his stuff. But I thought it was really interesting in here. His son shared about it and said, I love you so much, Pop. Shared Wolfgang. I thought, man, look at that. Look at that. You don't meet too many Wolfgangs. You know what I'm saying? And think about that. That's a strong name, Wolfgang Van Halen. Okay, mine's Wolfgang Phoenix, but Wolfgang Van Halen, I mean, wow, man, another level stuff. So definitely, thoughts and prayers to that family, no doubt about it. All right, thoughts and prayers to the people in this hallway. Too, a bear wanders the hallway at a Colorado Lodge, and there's a video of this thing. I don't know if I want to share it because sometimes I'm nervous to share it, not only because of copyright strikes with music and stuff like that, but swear words. Oh, this is on the news. Okay, we can maybe play this. Let's see. Is it going to work? Okay, there we go. That's better. So, okay, what would you do in this situation? I mean, you got this bear. You're looking out the hall. You're going out the hall, and you look down the way, and you go, oh my gosh, it's a freaking bear. What would you do? I'd record it. I mean, I would at least do that. Apparently, things got pretty crazy. The bear obviously wanted somewhere to stay, was confused, didn't remember the room number, forgot the key. He's like, man, was it 420? Was it 420? Was it 421? What was it? And he's getting ticked. He's like, I thought there was like a scratch on the door. I thought I remembered seeing that. So, yeah, the person ended up having some issues with this. Anna Williams, who works at the YMCA of the Rockies in Estes Park, said she was working late when she heard a crashing sound. This is at a YMCA? Oh, buddy. Yeah. What was he doing? What was he doing, guys? In the comments section, let me know, what do you think he's doing? I don't know. He's won free passes for his friends. He's really upset because they suspended that whole thing. And they're like, no, we're sorry, sir. It now is $10. He's like, I want those old passes. I know they're in here somewhere. Oh, yeah, wandered into the building. Colorado Parks and Wildlife said there had been 5 previous reports of bears entering. Man, I'm telling you, that's what it was. There's 5 of these buggers going into the same YMCA. Oh, they shouldn't have discontinued that whole special. They should have kept it going. Oh, they should have kept it going. All right. Another bear. Bears are on the loose, guys. Bears right now are just out of control. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. If you have any, visuals of bears. My mom did. My mom had a video of a bear. She came home. There's a bear up in the tree making a bunch of noise. There's a baby bear, so she's like terrified because there's obviously a mama bear somewhere. And that mama bear showed up and she's like, dang, son, you got to see this. Bear rides to police station on garbage truck. Look at that bugger. Look at that guy. How would you feel about that? Would you even want to be the car behind that? I mean, it would be cool on the one hand, but you might do one of those Mission Impossible maneuvers and like jump off it onto the hood of your car. You don't know what you're dealing with these things. You don't know what kind of training that guy's had. Or how mad he is about the whole YMCA thing. Probably one of the friends, probably a lookout. We can only assume it was sick of going for the small amount of trash in the garbage pails and went for the big prize. Officer Vincent Murrow of Kidder Township. Kidder. Yeah, he ain't kidding around with this. Kidder Township Police Department told WNEP-TV, it's been pretty frequent, almost daily, that we're getting a new bear complaint. That's what I'm saying, guys. It's what I'm saying. 2020 is a year to remember. There's raccoons on the loose. There's bears going nuts. What is happening? What is happening? This is actually kind of one of those inspirational stories. It's a positive thing, Rosary lost by U.S. soldier in World War II, returned to family. ABC 9 WCPO, that's kind of a cool name, had a story about it. The family of a U.S. man who lost his rosary while serving in Italy during World War II had the item returned to them thanks to the family of the soldier who found it. Quote, I remember him saying at one point that his only regret was the fact that he'd lost his rosary, and it was his mom's, and it was a special rosary. It was his son, Maynard, who said that. It had a relic inside of it, and that kept him safe and alive the whole time. Charles Worley, another U.S. soldier serving in Europe, found the pouch on a beach. How cool is that, by the way? How cool is that? And brought it back to the United States with him in hopes of eventually finding its owner. It had a rosary as well as a note that bore Robert Maynard's name. Gail Tucker, Worley's daughter, said her father never managed to track down Maynard, but she renewed the efforts. Man, this is an awesome story. This is cool, man. When her mother handed the pouch and rosary down to her. Tim Maynard, the son, said it means a lot to have a piece of family history back in his possession. Quote, it's just amazing to have something, that was with him through those times back in hand. Years and years have passed since he touched them, but the things he went through while that was in his possession speaks volumes, and the energy's still there with it. And I believe his energy's with it. I'll tell you, that's an amazing story. That's an amazing story. And I know what he means by that. If any of you lost, a family member, a friend, and you keep something, because it was with that person. I have an entire chest that belongings for my daughter. It's got all sorts of things in there. And nothing, it was actually really tough because, when she passed, everybody has to go through this thing, right? Where you got to go through their stuff. You have to go through, you got to go in their room, and there's this reluctance to do it. It took me a long time to even get the nerve to think that I could change anything about that room. And I remember going in there and having to go through a lot of it. I mean, she was a girl. She had a mess. There were things that just had to go, you know. I said that when she was alive, you know what I mean? And there were things that were kind of hard to get rid of. But at the same time, you know, there were a lot of things that I found, even journals and diaries and stuff, that and art books that she drew in, 'cause she was drawing all the time, that I've kept. And I've gone through some pretty difficult times. In fact, there's something, and I know this is a little macabre, okay? I didn't plan on doing this. Hold on. The seriousness of this. I want to show you something that I don't show anybody unless they come in my home, and I'm going to try not to cry. It's too early for this. Hold on. I need more coffee. And don't go crying on me at work. This is my daughter's face. This is what when you go through chemo and radiation, they have you lay down on a bed, and you have to stay very still because they're targeting where the radiation enters, and it was in her brain. As you can see, it's like a plastic. I wouldn't say it's plastic. I don't know what exactly the material is, but you can see the holes, they stretch. And that's because it had to be wet. And I believe it was warm, and they had to pull really tight because there's locks you can see at the bottom. And they had to put little bolts in here when she laid down, and her face would be completely stable. She wouldn't be able to move to the left or to the right when she wore this. And you can see I've kept the stickers on. The stickers that have the location where it goes in. But the thing is, this is the perfect shape of her face. And there are times when I miss her so much. I miss her every day. But there are times where I loathe the fact that I can't hear her footsteps anymore. That little pitter-patter of her feet. That there's no sense anymore of her in the room. You know, when you kind of know, a lot of married people can relate to this for sure, where you might be in a room watching, and you know, you don't hear your wife, but you know she's there, and you turn around and she's kind of by a chair and she's watching with you for a second while she's doing something. That's gone. She's not here. Not physically. And so there are times where my heart is so broken, and where I want nothing more than to remember how she felt in my arms. She was my firstborn. And when I saw this, when we were going through everything, when we were going through all of her stuff, I sat there and I said, you know what? I said, part of me, you know, my initial thought was, well, why do I have this thing still? But it didn't take long before I realized I'm never getting rid of this. Never. Because there's been times where I've had to come and I've had to put my hand on it and put my face and my forehead against it and just remember. I have this actually right beneath a crucifix. I have a crucifix in my office. Sorry about that. I have a crucifix in my office. And it reminds me every day that I'm not the only person who's lost a child or who's seen a child die. And I'm sorry to get serious because this is supposed to be fun. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm glad that this guy got his father's rosary back. And I hope he prays with it every day. Even, not just because he needs to. Not just because it will help him in his salvation and help others. But even that he can, in that brief way and powerful way, that he can connect with his dad. And again, I'm really sorry. We got to get off this page. We got to get out of here. Oh, man. Paleocrat Diaries. But this is the thing, guys. This is the thing, man. It's my diaries. This is life. If you've got stories like that, man, reach out to me. I'm here. I mean it. I'm here. It was funny. I was talking. The last thing I'll say was I don't want to just go off the rails, but a friend of mine, or my daughter. Sorry about that. My daughter came up and said that recently somebody's relative died of cancer, and that her friend was told, don't go around, saying this to everybody. So I'm not going to say the family or the name or anything, but that she wasn't supposed to go around telling everybody, but the Bannisters could know. And that it was okay to talk to us. And I told my buddy that, and he's like, dude, that's heavy. And I said, that's like every day for us. I said, you don't really understand what it's like to go through what we went through. I was talking to David Robert Gordon over from Church Militant. I was talking to him, Timothy Gordon's brother. I was talking to him yesterday. He was asking about, aren't you married and, family and stuff? And I told him, and I mentioned, and he's like, oh my gosh, man, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you heard the interview, man. I was on Tim's show, buddy. I was on the show. He interviewed me, man. You got to watch that. By the way, you got to follow the Gordon brothers. They're good guys. We don't agree all the way on stuff either. It's one of those testaments in life, just like my buddy Chad. We don't see eye to eye on everything. And yet at the same time, we're boys. I'm definitely down with these guys. Really great guys. Got to follow them. Okay. Wow. 102-year-old Chicago woman's voting photo goes viral. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Look at this lady. No wonder. I'm going to have sniffles now, man. Ugh. Forgive me. Look at this lady. She's all decked out. Dude, she's 102. You got to, you can forgive her. Look at the people in the background. I wonder what they're thinking. They're looking over at this person. They're like, oh my gosh, that person is taking it very seriously. You never know. You never know why. Is that maybe the car that lady's driving in? Look at that car in the background. Did she roll up in that thing? I'm not seeing her rascal anywhere. The Chicago Teachers Union tweeted a photo showing B. Lumpkin, 102, a retired member of the union dressed from head to toe in PPE as she dropped her ballot into a mailbox. Quote, if B can do it, anyone can do it, the tweet said. That's true. Lumpkin told CNN, the most important reason to vote in this election is that there's so much at stake. More than any other vote I've cast, because of the great challenge to the survival of our democracy. Yeah, she's obviously a Trump voter. She's obviously a Trump voter. She's one of those union people that's like, the union's like, hey, are you going out there, B? Are you voting? Yeah, I'm going out there in my PPE. And they're like, oh, great, we're going to share it. And, CNN finds out, oh, she was a member of the union. Oh, great. And at home, she's got like all these MAGA posters. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. She is. Look at her. Look at her. She's definitely, she's voting for Trump. She's voting for Trump. She's like, it's really urgent, guys. You got to do it. You got to go vote. Trump 2020. Trump 2020. Yeah, but look at this. Okay, this is the thing, man. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at how serious she's taking it. We can all do it. Number one, are they encouraging us all to do that? Goodness gracious. Imagine that, guys. Oh, and look, this is the other thing. People can, cover themselves and get all good about it. I don't know how medical this actually is. And maybe one of the doctors or nurses in the chat can let me know. But look at how baggy that sleeve is. It's like she just took a rain slicker and said, well, I think this will work. Why not like a dog costume or something? You know what I mean? If all that works, it's like, well, just grab any kind of fabric at the house. You can't use your snake. Remember, we talked about that story. The guy tried using a snake as a face mask. I still have not seen any scientific study saying that snake masks don't work. I want to see that data. I need to see it now. Stat. Yeah, but go out. Make sure you vote. Make sure you vote. Busted. NBC featured undecided voters, quote unquote, during town hall who'd previously declared. See, look at this, man. This is what I'm talking about. I say this kind of stuff all the time. This is all imaginary land, right? People think, well, it's called the news, and they're newsy people. Anderson Cooper, Brian Stelter. And again, I gotta apologize, Mark Dice. I hope people don't make a meme out of me saying that Mark Dice sucks. I really did get caught up in that moment. I don't believe Mark Dice sucks at all. I would love. He's one of the guys on YouTube like that. One of the only people that I go every single day to see what he's posted. But if you see people, Bob Acosta or Jim Acosta, sorry about that. Yeah, Bob Acosta. There's like a Bob Acosta out there that watches the show, and he's like, dude, I'm a good guy. What are you doing going after me, man? It's my brother Jim and Bob. Yeah, but NBC featured so-called undecided voters during Monday night's town hall. Imagine how many people, though. This is how it works. They know that this is how it works. It's kind of like telemarketers. I was getting all those phone calls yesterday. By the way, I didn't know those phone calls were going over the air. I heard it on my phone. I didn't realize it was ringing super loudly. My wife's like, I don't know what, you got to turn that thing off. In fact, let me make sure, man. I got my phone here. I'm just going to turn off my phone. If you're not watching, man, if you call me, you ought to know. You ought to know. I'm on the air, man. I'm live. So it's off. We ain't going to have that problem again today, right? But telemarketers, they'll call, and people say, man, why are these telemarketers calling all the time? Who actually answers them? They know that they could do, let's say, 1,000 calls. And all they need is the information from one they can completely wreck. And by the way, don't use the word yes. If they say, if you ever get it, I've had this before. If they say, can you hear me? If you say yes, a lot of times they'll just hang up. That's all they wanted. That's all they wanted, man. Because they can try to use that to say, oh, they said it was okay to take all of their money. Don't do it. Don't do it. But, they know that if they make all these calls, people are going to eventually, somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to fall for it. They know the same thing for this. They can put out these fake stories, and they know that there are a lot of people. Let's say you got Ethel at the elder care home, and she's undecided. She remembers Biden. She thought he was handsome. He's still pretty attractive for, a guy that is, not doing well. They're surrounded by it. So they're like, well, relatively speaking, he'd do pretty well in the old elder care home with us in the nursing facility. He'd be a super stud. He'd have a harem in there. And I've heard stories, man. I've heard some pretty nasty stories. You old people are gross. What's wrong with you? You sickos, man. But the thing is, let's say they're watching, and they're all sitting around in the bingo hall, and they're watching, and they're identifying, they're relating. Because it's TV, the whole idea is suspended disbelief. The idea, same thing when you're watching a TV show. You're watching Supernatural, right? Or Doctor Who. Or you're watching any other kind of show that is drama, right? And the idea is suspended disbelief, that in that moment, you forget that person is a normal guy who went in the morning and put makeup on and then left in the evening and had to memorize the lines, and that there's a bunch of people all around asking if they want food and stuff, right? You forget about it. And in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, and you're crying because that person sacrificed his life for this, and you relate to it. Suspended disbelief, that's what it's called, okay? That same thing happens with the TV medium when it comes to news. People go, Anderson Cooper is a real news guy. Yeah, Brian Stelter. Real news people. Basically any of them, man. Hardly any of these people are actual journalists. People, they've made it synonymous that if you are a reporter. Reporter nowadays, man, you can read a script. Try getting these guys. Imagine if the script failed. All the fail-safes gone. And all of a sudden they're stuck. Oh, no. What am I going to do? You ever heard these people talk when they're not on script? They're like the actors and actresses that right now are setting up YouTube channels. Like Captain Marvel. Her YouTube channel is garbage, man. Nobody likes it. There was a really scientific universal poll that said that it's like the worst. What? Didn't I see that somewhere? But these undecided voters in the elder care home, they're watching suspended disbeliefs going on, and they're going, man, yeah, I agree. I think these people are making some really good points. And all the while, these people had already affirmed on MSNBC, the sister network, that they were supporting Biden. These are literally recycled people acting. All right. Some of the comments here, man, before I move on. Okay. Kathy, talking about the Bears. He wanted to work out and use the pool. The Bears are the YMCA. Yeah. Wanted to use the pool. I'm telling you, really upset. Or the sauna. Because, man, some of them, well, the pool, yeah, they're closing them buggers down, too. A lot of them have reopened. I think the one in town here is reopened. You got to wear a mask. So you're like huffing and puffing into a mask. This stuff is dumb, dude. But then they're like, oh, no saunas, man. No saunas. You can't, no way. The proximity, you're breathing in air with everybody. The hot tub, the steam room, all that stuff. And the Bears have just had it. They're just ticked off. Adam says, pandas know kung fu. So what fighting style do black bears do? That's what? What fighting style do black bears do? Adam, you got to answer that. And by the way, Adam, I know who this is, by the way. Adam Heichel. I've said on the show, you guys got to follow his work. That was made really difficult by the Masters of the Universe because they banned his Facebook account. They banned his Facebook account. And look, I'm in the know on this, right? I'm in the know with these people. And so I know a little bit, the background a little bit. Something was shared with me, and come to find out, no emails, no warnings, no explanations, no nothing, just your account's deleted. And on top of that, it didn't give any, like, oh, here is what you said. And worst of all is the idea that they will not, it can't, quote unquote, can't be reviewed. You can't even fill it out. They can't review it. They don't say why. Oh, Jer, Sammy was such a beautiful person, talking about my daughter inside and out, and I know where she got that from. Thank you. She got it from her mother. She got it from her mama, man. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful person inside and out. Look, I might be beautiful, on the outside, right? But I got a lot of work on the inside to do. I'm working on it, though, daily, every day. Getting better and better and better, right? The Lord is good. Bethany, we had a family friend that died when she was little. Abby got a lot of her hand-me-downs. She found one of her beautiful curly hairs in a robe a few years later. I do believe she still had it. It's interesting. My mom's got this hair thing, right? I don't know. Is this a mom thing? I got a lot of moms watching. Okay. So let me know. Tell me what's up with this. I don't know a lot of dads that are twirling the hair of their kids and stuff, but I've met moms that do this. Moms, are you, is it a common thing or a mom thing to always be playing with kids' hair and kind of twirling it and fiddling around with it? My mom did that growing up. My mom was a freak for doing that, and she loved playing with my daughter's hair and all the kids. She loved playing with their hair, and she was really insistent that when the doctors had to shave my daughter's head, that she got some of that hair. And she's made these like ponytail things from them, and she keeps them. And I will not cry. I am Wim Hof. I gotta breathe. Focus, man. Focus. She plays with that while she watches, she'll sit down and watch TV, or she'll do different things, maybe while she prays, but she has that, and she plays with it to this day, and it's right there in her living room, I believe. And so she's kept it, and she's got more than one, I think, of that hair. Yeah. Consuelo says, my heart goes out to you. You lost a child too. My heart goes out to you. I know what it's, obviously we know what it's like. It's a different level, man. I mean, I've lost grandparents and stuff, And that was devastating. I mean, I have pictures of going through the house at my grandmother's house after she had died. They recently actually tore it down. It was a really tragic thing. I think they're replacing it a road or a parking lot or something. It's really tragic. But the thing is, eminent domain or something. In Pennsylvania, but I went through her house. And I remember going through and all of the memories, in those rooms, now empty. And completely empty. It was nothing. But it's different. It's not the same. Another person, don't be sorry, someone needed this today. Talking about the... And if you're tuning in right now and you missed it, wait. You're going to need to go back, but not yet. Because, number one, it's live. Don't do that. But the thing is, earlier on, we were talking about a very, very serious and sad story, and inspirational. Not sad. It's got sad dynamics to it, but it's not sad. But you're not going to want to watch that if you are, around a bunch of people or trying to make a really great first impression, because you're going to cry. You are going to cry. Harry says, thank you for sharing. Of course, no problemo. No problemo. Another comment, I like how they put a retired union worker like she's going to vote for Biden, and actually she's voting for Trump. I can't prove that. I can't prove that. She probably, I'm believing she's probably coordinating, with the union. And it was published on CNN. So I mean, they're making sure. They're like, we need to make sure that if people go and follow this 102-year-old lady, that all they're going to do is find a lot of Biden stuff. We don't want to accidentally be promoting Trump. Yeah. All right. Judy says they sent out ballots here in California without the president on them. I saw that, by the way. Yeah, for California. Yeah. Now, was it just without Trump, or was it without either presidential candidate? What was that? If you're in the comments, let me know. All right, man seeks bride. We'll get back to comments later. Not addicted to social media. What? Good luck, says Twitter. Yeah, good luck. A matrimonial ad seeking a bride who is not addicted to social media has created a huge buzz online. In the ad, the man, what is it? Kamar Pooker? Kamar Pooker? How would you pronounce that, man? How would you pronounce that? The U at the end with the R, it gets me. If it was an A, it'd be easier. You know what I mean? Man seeking a prospective bride states his own age, occupation, and place of residence before writing, quote, with no demand groom, seeks fair, beautiful, tall, slim bride. Bride must not be addicted in social media, man. Okay, highlighted there. Yeah, no demand groom. And then the very next thing, seeks fair, beautiful, tall, slim bride. Oh. I mean, look, the guy's got taste. You know what I'm saying? He's got taste. And he's got a good concept of time. Saying, look, if you're addicted to social media, you're probably not someone I want to be with. You don't want to be worrying about the whole OnlyFans crap. So that's a good thing. I mean, it's pretty good. Oh, it's got the actual clip. Okay, gotcha. A lot of people, unbelievable. No demands, but still have some. Yes. Of course, man. Of course. Maybe no demands was, maybe that's the wrong word. I mean, it's not a demand. It's more like probably an expectation. Like he's basically saying, look, let's go back here. What does he say? Right here. Oh, we'll go back here. Okay. So he wants the person to be fair and beautiful. So he doesn't want an ugly person. And we all know, I mean, I know the beauty is, on the inside kind of thing. I get that. But we've all seen somebody with a hit face. We know what butterface means. We do know what that means, guys, okay? And girls know too. Just because, Butterface doesn't work the same way as Butterface, doesn't mean that Butterface isn't real. Girls, you know it. Don't be playing that. You've seen some guys that you're like, oh man, he's a really great guy, but boy, He's been beat with an ugly stick like a billion times. We all know it. Tall, so they're not looking for a midget. No offense to the midgets. I might have a lot of little people watching the show. It's true. You never know. You never know. A slim bride. So he doesn't want somebody that's bedridden. I mean, it's a better way, isn't it? Instead of saying, I don't, very few demands. Can't be ugly, can't be a midget or a dwarf or some kind of other issue, and can't be bedridden. I mean, that just sounds, that's really an aggressive thing. I mean, it would weed them out, but it would also open it up to a lot of the people who go, well, I'm not bedridden. It's just a rascal. It's just a rascal. Serious news. I'm going to mix it up a little bit with serious and funny, because I had some people that are like, come on, man, get to the point. I want to hear that serious news, and here you get mad. I'm like, dude, it's going to happen every time. Come on, man. Come on. Charges filed against trans elections judge Erica Bickford in Allentown, Pennsylvania, including tampering with ballots. Oh my gosh. What is this? Did it say elected official? Oh, it's an elections judge. Who appointed that person? Look at that. Look at that, America. I'm sorry to say this, man. There's a lot of mental illness going on here. And the Roman collar, what? I feel badly in a way. I don't want to rag too badly. Oh, the fingernails. This is just all around gross. Look at this. Pink highlights in the hair. There's so much wrong here, guys. We need to call one of those shows. But we'll have to find one on like EWTN that cleans people up to look, manly and stuff. Because there's not many. Does EWTN have one of those? We need to do it. We need to put out one of those change.org petitions or something. But this is too much, man. And what's up, dude? The teeth are gone. Look at the lipstick. It's like Silence of the Lambs stuff, man. Now, eyebrows. What is? I can't. No. Apparently, charges against an election judge in Allentown's 3rd Ward, accused of tampering with ballots during the Democratic primary race for state representative. Maybe he was a progressive, I wonder. I wonder. Oh, man. He looks like one of those, those Antifa pictures, man, where they get arrested. Yeah. That's what he looks like. Martin's, okay, yeah. Oh, and this news crew's crazy. This is how you know we're in La La Land, folks. During an interview with detectives, Bickford said she... What? What? No, dude. No, that is just not. Did not alter any ballots or change the voters' choice. Why do they play into this, man? Why do these news places play into this? They don't take words seriously anymore. People that do that, sites that do that, you may want to really reconsider, and I'm serious about this journalistically, you may want to reconsider taking that publication very seriously. They're playing the video game in the brain crap. Change the voters' choices. Because at that point, you're like, what's your personal pronoun? No, man. No, that's like, again, that is Awake Magazine. That's Watchtower nonsense for the secular SJW mindset. For the cult. But admitting darkening some bubbles. We just got to get out of this. This is obviously how that person even got there. There's got to be a lot of regret. It's just the whole town's like, that person? What? Isn't that person the one on the street corners yelling at thin air? The Ig Nobel Science Award in Alligator on Helium sounds like what? Who would even do this? If humans sound like Minnie Mouse after inhaling helium, Would an alligator squeak on the gas used to float balloons? What? The profound puzzle challenged a global research team. They're obviously bored. They're just having fun, I guess. Whatever. I mean, you know. An alligator bellowing with normal air and then breathing heliox, a helium-oxygen mixture. Yeah. Our question was whether alligators have vocal tract resonances like human speech. The hard part is getting an alligator to breathe helium. Can you imagine that? Like, when they first started, were they like taking balloons and like walking up and be like, come on, okay, get really close. And the dude's like sweating. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this. And they're like, well, you pulled the name out of a hat. I mean, we're being fair. It was a random thing, a random pull. Twirled around in circles 7 times. Closed your eyes, reached inside. You know they stacked one dude's name. There's like everybody just secretly put that guy's name in the hat. He's like, no. But how would you get him to do it? I mean, taking the balloon, get it up right close to its mouth. Little alligator lips. Suck on this, man. That was solved by getting a female Chinese alligator into an airtight chamber and pumping in helium. Oh, so apparently the balloon trick didn't work. Who'd have figured? Alligators bellow a lot during mating season, possibly as a way to signal body size and mojo. By raising the vocal frequency, helium made the reptile sound less of a hunk. You go figure. Imagine, yeah, imagine that. It would be the difference in, human pairing. If you sound like James Earl Jones, or you sound like the guy at the bar, right? In that whole, oh my gosh, man. What is that movie? What is the movie, man? It's the first one we did. It's the first one we did with paleo cheese. It's that, oh my gosh, it's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to have to say it because the helium voice, man. The helium voice. Here we go. Let's look this up. Paleo cheese. YouTube.com/paleo cheese. It's going to drive me nuts as soon as I see it. Wild at Heart. How did I forget that? Wild at Heart, man. There's a guy at the bar. A guy at the bar, and he's like, and he talks like that. And it's just his normal voice. It's not, they did an effect on it. But that guy's not doing very well in the whole, mate pairing thing. And I can't imagine that alligator did very well either. Did I open up a new tab for that? Paleo cheese. Yeah, and check that out. You got to check it out, man. Paleo cheese. Show on Acast. Oh, look at this. Got a bunch of podcasts. Thank you, Google, by the way. Pretty cool. It's a fun show. All right. All right. Getting back to the news here. Serious stuff, guys. Teacher says tattoo, surgically blackened eyes, cost him his kindergarten job. Go figure, man. Like, I have nothing against tattoos. I have tattoos. Okay? I have 2 of them. I don't know if, if I get any more, there's one. There's one, and it maybe go right across my arm. I think some of the viewers might know what I mean. So the thing is, yeah, the school teacher whose body, face, and tongue are covered in tattoos, and who had the whites of his eyes surgically turned black, said he was prevented from teaching at a French kindergarten. Apparently, kids were having nightmares. Kids were having nightmares. Because they saw it. What would you guys do? Would you be down with that? Would you be down with this? Kraft Dinner releasing limited edition pumpkin spice. What do you think of that, guys? Good, bad? Good or bad? What do you think? Pumpkin spice, macaroni and cheese. Or Kraft Dinner. Look at this. Okay. Kraft Dinner is spicing up its mac and... Yeah, so it's mac and cheese. Pumpkin spice mac and cheese. It's going to have cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, and ginger. See, I don't know if that sounds like something the kids would like. You know what I mean? But I think it's something that I would. In fact, I was so pumped about it. Yeah, KD announced on Tuesday that it's unleashing a limited edition for free in October. And you can claim yours. There's only 1,000. Sign up to claim yours at pumpkinspicekd.com. I don't know if I got there in time for the 1,000. Maybe, because, yeah, I totally signed it. I totally went, you're all set. We'll email you when Pumpkin Spice KD arrives later this fall. For now, just stick with the classic KD. Yeah. All right. Man's pet geese comes with him to the pub wearing special nappies. You know what? I'll save some of these funny ones because there's only a couple more. But I want to move ahead. And again, if you like funny stories, you like memes, there's a meme, of course, thing at the end, the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. We end up talking about memes. You got to go. And you got to email me, paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. Make sure that you send it. Or send it over Facebook. I'm at jeremiah.bannister. Or, of course, at Paleocrat. I actually got a message over there yesterday. It was pretty cool. Two things yesterday. I was talking with some of these ladies over at the soccer game. My son Ambrose played soccer yesterday. And we're sitting there, and they tied. It was an awesome game. It came down to the wire. It was amazing. They did a really great job. And I'm really proud of Ambrose and how good he does at soccer and stuff. But I'm talking to these moms. And one of them said, "Man, I'm seeing you're recording all the time. You're on Facebook and all over the place." And the woman that was with her said, "Oh yeah," she said, "My husband listens every day while he works." Yeah, come on now, come on, Papa. Good job. Yeah, I hope all of the your coworkers are listening, and enjoying it because they're going to have a fun time. They're going to love every minute of the show. Oh, I also got a comment, of course, on YouTube. Saying that listening to this show that I've helped to make his work days better, and he wants to thank me for that. The privilege and the honor, of course, is mine. This is, as I said before, this is like going to Disneyland. Just like going to Disneyland every single day. It's awesome and fun, hanging out with the guys and the ladies, talking crazy stuff. But I also had somebody send me this, and I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. And you can comment anywhere. It's not like there's one. It's one for me. I see all of it. I'm like the wizard, right? I see behind the curtain, so all of the different feeds, Facebook and YouTube, it all goes one place, so I see every bit of it. So don't worry if you're like, well, where is everybody? You comment, I'll see it. Make it good, and I'll mention it. Okay, but somebody sent me a message at Paleocrat yesterday, and tossed out the idea that maybe in order to get even more listeners to the show, that I could do these live streams sometimes that are gaming live streams. Now, I've admitted that I don't play a lot of video games, and the video games I do are vintage. I made a mistake, though. I made a mistake and said that Mario 2 was Super NES. It was not. Well, I don't know why I thought this. Probably because I don't even play it on an NES. I play it on my TV. There's an app that you can put together. So I haven't played it on NES in a very, very long time. But I like playing games that are pretty simple. I like old school games. I like newer ones too, don't get me wrong. I like newer ones too. But, I kind of generally avoid games that get too deep into the character and building up stuff. But it might be fun to do something like that. And if you guys, maybe we'll do a vote. Maybe we'll do a poll. We can start it at least in the comment section. Don't say Zelda, please. Don't say Zelda or Final Fantasy or something like that. I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. I don't know if that's the kind of game. But a game like Contra, for example, I'd do that, and it'd be kind of a little niche. I was thinking about doing maybe Wolf 3D, but it was a good idea. If you've got good ideas like that, or you've got suggestions for interviews and stuff like that, let me know. And there's going to be some changes because we're coming into the second hour. Man, time flies. Coming into the second hour. We've got an hour left. Crank it up good and loud, folks. But there's going to be some changes because I'm kind of wanting to format this a little bit, so that it's radio friendly. Because it would be great to be picked up by, let's say, a network, but you'd have to, on that network anyway, they would just simply need it so that it goes, let's say, 20 minutes break, 15 minutes break, that kind of a thing. I wouldn't inundate you guys with any kind of commercials or ads. I don't do that. I might put a promo on there with my kids explaining why I do the show and how the money goes toward my kids' schooling at Sacred Heart Academy. But that would be it. All right. Breaking. President Trump authorizes total declassification of all documents related to Spygate, Hillary email scandal with no redactions. Yeah. Oh, I love this guy. I love this guy. Look at his face. Oh, I love you, Mr. President. I support you. I do. I support you. You know, we're gonna go to this. We're gonna go to a different banner. I've been doing that banner for a long time. This will be hour 2 banner. Right here. Jeremiah Bannister, keeping it simple. But you look at that face. He means business. Is that back when he was doing the show? The You're Fired show? Look at that. President Trump Tuesday night went scorched earth, it's according to the Gateway Pundit, and authorized the total declassification of all documents related to the Russia hoax, Spygate, and Hillary Clinton's email scandal. Will this include Mr. Wiener? Will that include the Wiener emails? It should. It should. No redactions, said Trump. Here he goes. Look at this. I have fully authorized the total declassification of any and all documents pertaining to the single greatest political crime. And it was a crime. What they did to him is criminal. And it's offensive that these people. This rarely ever is an interruption okay. But I was just interrupted by Allie Lovesick. She's the head of the the head of the staff. They've apparently there's like a guild, and she's the head of the guild. So Allie Lovesick. She told me the intercom was coming. I was really mad because I've been saying this intercom is coming now for a while, and I've been really upset. And apparently it came in. Look at this. Yeah. Oh. They're on the ball anyway. They have monitors watching the show and everything. They're all on it, fact checking in real time. Rarely ever do they let anything slip. But now I've got this. Let me see. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, so my staff, you guys got to, Allie, make sure you keep that on. Yes, Mr. Bannister. I love this. Oh, yes. The show's just gotten way better, guys. Okay. Total declassification. Oh, it's like icing on a cake. First this. Then the intercom walkie-talkies. And these are Spider-Mans. I love this show. I love you guys. Likewise, the Hillary email scandals. No redactions. These tweets come after DNI John Radcliffe declassified and released documents on Tuesday revealing former CIA Director John Brennan. That's a dude who needs to be locked up. Major time liar, man. Major time. This guy, he's a commie. You don't believe me? Go back. Look at his voting record. Dude, straight up commie. Briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plot to stir up a scandal to tie Trump to Russia. And what's amazing is this same person, who did this, that there was a plot to stir it up, that all of a sudden, guess what? He gets a job where he's on TV all the time, and they're talking to him all the time, and he's on Twitter all the time. You're a Russian person. You're a Russian asset, a Putin stooge. No, he's not. You've been lying. Which is what these guys do, by the way. They are professional liars. And we have a bias, and for good reason, in our country. When we talk about the intelligence community in our country, or let's say in Russia, we go, man, Putin, KGB. Imagine the crazy. And you can look at these guys and go, CIA, FBI. The crazy, man. These people are trained to lie. And the kind of ethics that goes into this, man, these are deep ethical questions. I know some priests that they're the confessors for people at like major time, levels with geopolitics. And I thought, man, and some of this stuff, man, is like, to do with war. And I said, man, imagine those confessions. Just imagine it. Unbelievable. Yeah. And Radcliffe released a Russian intel assessment in which he asserted that Hillary Clinton hatched the Russia hoax in order to pin the DNC hacking on President Trump. All you people who've been supporting this idea that Russia hacked the election and all this stuff, you have been played. You've been played for years of your life. If you were on a microphone and you were barking at it about Russia, 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 and you got played this whole time, turn the mic off, walk out the door, and apply at McDonald's. Not even kidding. Get out of here. It's like yelling fire in a movie theater, but worse. Facebook removes Trump's post where he claims COVID-19 is less deadly than the flu in certain populations. See, this is how you know it's just not scientific, what they're doing, what Facebook's doing. And after CNN lobbies. CNN is literally the censorship news network. They're all about it. They're all about it. They lobby all the time for stuff to be removed. All the time. And it's their competition because they're getting smoked. They're getting smoked. You guys' shtick is garbage, man. Wolf Blitzer hasn't been any good since Schwarzkopf. Been a long time. Nobody cares what you say anymore, Wolf. Is his name really even Wolf Blitzer? I doubt it. I doubt it. He's not cool enough to do it. Flu season's coming up. Many people every year, sometimes over 100,000. And despite the vaccine, die from the flu. Are we going to close our country? No. We have learned to live with it, just like we're learning to live with COVID. In most populations, far less lethal. There's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing wrong about that. That is scientifically accurate. And it's a political position on how to deal with it. Who voted for these scientists that you're alleging are saying that we all need to just shut down? They're treating it like you not only cannot have an opinion, but you can't propose a solution on how to deal with it in any way contrary to what they personally stand for. That's tyranny. I am sorry, man. And these same jokers are the ones, democracy is on the line if you don't vote for Biden. Are you kidding me? What a joke. What a bunch of goons, man. This is scary level stuff, actually, if you think about it. Flu season's coming up. Scientifically true. Many people every year, sometimes over 100,000, and despite the vaccine, die from the flu. True. Are we going to close down our country? That's a question. No. We have learned to live with it. True. Just like we're learning to live with COVID. True. In most populations, far less lethal. True. Every single one of those things are true. Show me where he's wrong. In most populations, it's far less lethal. That is just a fact. We know now by the numbers. We know the rate of fatality. We know it. It ain't that 3% number or whatever. What was it? What was the huge number? The doctor over at the World Health Organization. And that's super dangerous what he did. That's panic-inducing stuff, man. What he did, Tedros. To take the numbers of people who are going into the hospital and then the numbers of people who are dying in the hospital and making that the number of people who are dying from this virus. And you go, wait a second, dude, we don't do that ever. Because not every person who's getting this is going to the hospital. You have to assume this. In fact, it's one of those assumptions that goes into a formula when we come up with an idea for how many people have the flu every year. You have to add that in, or else it's mind-bogglingly high. That is just a fact. They censored that. But they're not alone. Wasn't that right there? Facebook? Yeah, Facebook censored it. Twitter did too. They said it was spreading misleading and potentially harmful. What is potentially harmful about that? Are we not learning to live with COVID? Haven't we been doing that? You're telling us this is the new normal. We need to get used to this. If that's true, then even from your perspective, we've been getting acclimated to house arrest. We've been getting acclimated to tyrannical governors telling us what we have to do, like crazy Loonbird out in California telling people you got to put your mask up in between bites at a restaurant. Okay, Daddy. Okay, Massa. All right, Massa. These people are slave people, man. They are slave masters. These are dictatorial, just freaks, dude. I am sorry to say this. It's just true. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer reenacts unlawful lockdown policies through DHHS after Supreme Court ruling. Even though a state Supreme Court ruling recently invalidated her emergency powers, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is refusing to give up her illicit control. Yeah, she's just trying to figure out another way. And don't you think this is amazing? If the Supreme Court says, look, the governor, the head of the executive that oversees the executive branch, she put down policies and restrictions that were illicit, outside of her control. She did not have the power to do that. So a group below her within the executive, right, under her, in that branch, does it for her. I would understand, like, if it was, let's say, the county, let's say a local county, Health and Human Services, right, did something and someone said, you can't do that, took them to court and said, well, the court said that group didn't have authority. And then it went up to a different group. And then went after that group and said, you don't have authority. And the court says, yep, you don't have it. So then it goes up to the governor. And the governor issues something. And let's say the governor does have that authority to issue it. But it's her authority to issue. Right? So if it was hierarchical, if it went up that way. But to say you go after the top, that's like going after the root of a tree. And then saying, well, yeah, you've uprooted the tree, but the branch is still making fruit. What's wrong with these people? Power freaks, man. They have a messiah complex, big time. MDHHS Director Robert Gordon issued a new emergency order mandating face masks in public, restricting bars and other venues, and limiting gathering sizes. And it's so arbitrary. It's so arbitrary. Release the science behind all this. Release the numbers. Governor Whitmer, release the numbers of the people who've died inside of elder care homes. Money down. What does Steve Crowder say? That when they have FOIA'd this to get that information, the numbers we have in our state regarding how many people have died and comparison to the number of people who died, that portion of overall death, who died inside of elder care homes, that is derived from only having about 10% of the information from the elder care homes that is actually allowed patients with COVID in. Ooh, think about that. Oh, and of course, they be stonewalling. Oh, yeah, we're not going to give you that information. Oh, I wonder why. And this is where it gets worse. Noncompliance with these new orders will be considered a misdemeanor under Michigan state law, which could result in up to 6 months in jail. It could also result in a $200 fine, as well as a civil fine of up to $1,000. Unbelievable. Yeah, here's Newsom. Crazed tyrant Gavin Newsom tells family members to wear masks in between bites of food when dining out. On Twitter, going out to eat with members of your household this weekend? Don't forget to keep your masks on in between bites. Isn't that creepy? Isn't that creepy? They're like, well, what do you think we should tweet about? Oh, this sounds like a good idea. Just messed up, man. It's kind of like that whole funeral video recently where everybody had to be socially distanced, and the son, dad died, right? Older. The son, like my age, something like that, maybe a little older than me. And the mom, they're separated. And he sees the mom bawling her eyes out. And so the son scooches his chair by the mom to try to console her. And somebody working at the facility goes up and says, "We've told you." Sternly reprimands, makes them scooch apart. They are playing with fire. Don't these leaders realize they're playing with fire? People are waking up to this. And if we weren't being censored left and right, I'm afraid of talking about this stuff. As I said, I've had 2 situations in the last week of people criticizing the narrative. With science, by the way. This show promotes it and says, look at these numbers. Show me the studies. Let's talk about this. They don't want that. It's about control and power. But these people, they get censored. If people who disagree with the World Health Organization and the Democrat, this is essentially the Democrat narrative. It's what it is. It's ultimately that. It's ultimately the Democrat narrative, not the scientific narrative. One is an organization. The other one is a method of knowing. With competing views, by the way. The idea that it's like the scientists. When you hear people talk that way, it's cartoon talk. It's cartoon talk. It's a heuristic. It's a way that we can, when we talk casually, it's a way that we can lump in a bunch of people to give weight to what we are trying to express. But that's playing fast and loose. It's terrible logic. It's terrible argument. Mega weak. Like the kind of weak where your bicep muscle is like going down, like in cartoons. Like wimpy, you know what I mean? But if we weren't being censored left and right, and if the people who support us, just like I said yesterday, top epidemiologists from Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, they're consigned, they're basically forced into a specific lane of media. And that lane is Fox News and other shows that they're allowed to post about it because they've got a bunch of weight behind them. But if lower level people talk about it, they can be banned. They can get their videos removed. As I said, I've had 2 people in the last week that I know who have experienced this because of this topic. But I started doing this not only because, of course, the ultimate thing is my children, sending my children to school, but I resolved I will not cower. I will not back down. I will not cower. I'm done with that. I will say what I say. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, tell me why. You try to censor me, all out war. It's all out war right now. Because this censoring regime has been going on, and I have seen so many people. When I saw that meme yesterday where it said all my idols, and all, I would say heroes, I'm against idolatry, all my heroes are censored, blacklisted, banned, and all my enemies have blue check marks. That resonated with me. That resonated with me. It's a massive fraud. It's a massive campaign at mind control. And if they didn't have the power to make sure, oh, they're saying something that goes against our narrative. Crazy. But this is old business. Fahrenheit 451 predicted people would demand tyranny. Have you read, by the way, Fahrenheit 451? While you're thinking about that, I want to go ahead and read some of these comments. Mel says, referring to the black bears earlier in the show, black bears are West Virginia state animals, so its fighting style is probably a square dance. Yeah. Oh, you're a diva, Mel. You are a diva. I love you. Yeah. Probably a square dance. Do you square dance, Mel? I know you ride some motorcycle. You got some cool hog there. All right. Tell your husband I said hi, by the way. Kathy wrote, maybe yoga, since we have Yogi Bear. Oh, no. Oh, I need a drum roll for that one. Hold on. I'm going to try this out. Allie? Oh. I'm going to need to, I'm going to need you to look up something for me. Get the soundtrack, the sound for one of those drum things. Can you do that for me? Over and out. All right. Oh, it's my first time using this bad boy. I don't know if you could hear that. Here, let's do it one more time. Whoa, that is really loud. I'm going to turn that off. We have to figure this out. I don't know if you heard it. Oh, she's got a good voice, man, by the way. Got a good voice. I've heard it before. Oh, thank you, Allie. Yeah, make sure you get on that. Thank you. This will work if I can get rid of that static. This will work. And we got to have like an official code, like, hey, Allie, you know. I did like that. Yes, Mr. Bannister. I like that. Feeling good, man. Moving on up, guys. Judy says you haven't received their ballots in San Diego. Adam replying to Mel wrote, everyone circles around in a square dance, so maybe it's like a Walls of Jericho thing. Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing, dude. The Halls of Jericho for those bears. Black Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. Bethany says Kraft is vomit. Anywho, do you really think so? Or is it one of those foods that we all know is like mega fake, but it's just delicious? Maria says, yes, playing with hair is a mom and grandma thing. I did it to my grandkids too. My grandson still does it to his hair when he's sleepy. My mom, I think it's where I got it from. My mom, when I was little, I'd lay on her lap at church and she'd like play with my ear and like rub the back of my neck. And when I'm tired and I'm sleeping there, I'll have my arm like wrapped over my head and like rubbing up and down on the side of my neck. Is that weird? Is that weird? And yes, I read YouTube messages, Maria. I read yours. Yes. Nicole, I don't know why people believe the media instead of finding things out for themselves. It's easy. It's an easy thing. And you know what? It should. That's actually okay. It should be. If the media lived up to the idea, because remember, we haven't always had access to information like this. Okay? This is a newer thing. So in the past, it was entrusted to watchdogs that said, look, your job is to be a watchdog. But watchdogs have a difficulty. And that is, if you're a watchdog and you have a relationship with political power that is antagonistic, where you're just always trying to find the dirt on them, if that is what you are doing, that political power is not going to grant you access. And without access, you aren't getting any of that information. That makes it really hard. Hunter S. Thompson talks about this. The guy, Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, right? Iconic iconic writer during the Nixon administration, stuff like that. He's a big influence on me, actually. Him and G.K. Chesterton, two big journalistic influences on my life. And so, people can see it in my style. And you can see some of my writings. I haven't written in a while publicly for people. I'm behind the scenes putting together books, but I haven't written much since, lockdown and everything for public consumption yet. But you can see that over at meaningofcatholic.com. And so you can see that. But Hunter S. Thompson talks about this because he was the kind of guy that if you talk to him, it was probably going to end up, in his story. And it was going to be made crazy, borderline unbelievable, but not libel. And so he'd get away with it, And he's a really fun dude. Like it was fun to read his stories and stuff. But he knew and he admitted that style of reporting and him not be, just wearing it on his sleeve, he's a partisan, he knows what's going on, that because he was a partisan, it made it difficult for him to have access to certain groups, especially the groups he was reporting on, because he was a partisan for the opposing team. And he also knew that because he was writing about these people in a way that was not flattering, and that he was being critical and investigating what they're saying instead of just simply reporting what they're saying. Because modern television news has really become reporting in the sense that they get a quote from somebody and that is what it is. That quote. So however they frame it, it then is treated like, well, they said this. It must be true. And they treat it as if it is. Well, Brian Stelter, he even said that investigative journalism, it's not their job to investigate. It's stunning. It's a stunning admission. That's why you should not be getting your news from television. If you want to watch TV, watch it for something where suspended disbelief makes sense. Suspended disbelief does not make sense watching TV news, especially if they're taking themselves very, very seriously. That's why I don't, man. That's why I can say I'm sorry. That's why I can say I made a mistake. That's why I put stuff on here that's just flat out fun. Because I'm like, look, yeah, I've got an opinion. It's an opinion show. We talk about the news. Speaking of, let's get back. Fahrenheit 451 predicted people would demand tyranny. It's a great article. Predicted a dystopian future in which an authoritarian government burns books. Read the book again to discover why people wanted their tyrannical government to burn books. Ray Bradbury wrote it in 1953. But think of the ways that it actually parallels now. This is amazing. In Bradbury's dystopia, firemen became, quote, custodians of our peace of mind, the focus of our understandable and rightful dread of being inferior, official censors, judges, and executors. Today's mainstream media and social media are custodians of our peace of mind as they filter out, quote, conflicting theory and thought. Captain Beatty is Montague's boss, the character in the book. Beatty explained, if you don't want a man unhappy politically, don't give him two sides of a question to worry him. Give him one. It's where we are at this point. It's where we are. And in the rare instances where the mainstream will bring in a contrarian, it's normally outnumbered by far. You see this on CNN panels, right? CNN used to have, what was that guy's name? There was a dude, big Trump supporter. He was always on there. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan, but he went to bat for the president, right? And he was a loyal guy during the campaign. Wrote a book about it. But he would be in there and he'd be defending the president. And they would always have like 5 people gang up, and everybody would be rah, 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 at him. And then the liberals would all speak and say their side, interrupt, beat him down, ridicule him. Then they would speak, and then the person leading it would nod and move on. I'm like, dude, this is a show. This is pure pageantry. It's theater, and it's all in one direction. If you don't want people debating questions like COVID, Beatty has the ticket. Quote, cram them full of non-combustible data, chock them so darn full of facts that they feel stuffed, but absolutely brilliant with information. Then they'll feel they're thinking. They'll get a sense of motion without moving. That's stunning. I was talking to a guy last night, an old friend of mine, Dylan. He's a good friend. You know, I actually made a video talking about the myth of neutrality. It's thematically similar to some of this. And it was inspired by a conversation with him. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. One of my first listeners when I went AM FM full time for a while in Grand Rapids. But we were talking about it, and he was saying that this is so weird now because it feels like there's so much information all the time. This is basically what he was talking about. And that everybody's just jam full of facts. And they all think that they know what they're talking about because they have a link to a study. They don't know the method. They don't know how this thing works. They don't know policy. They don't know any of it. They don't know ethics. They don't know law. They haven't studied anything about it. But they got a link with a sensational headline. Like Bradbury predicted, listeners can recite the numbers, but have no context to make sense of the numbers. They have little idea that important scientists and doctors have advocated alternatives. So yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Incredibly, Bradbury anticipated today's social climate, where people claim that censorship is justified because someone hurt their feelings. And the way that it was, BD explains a dominant social norm justifying censorship. Do not offend minorities. Bradbury is clear. Minorities meant practically everyone. Quote, don't step on the toes of the dog lovers, the cat lovers, doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, Mormons, Baptists, Unitarians, second generation Chinese, Swedes, Italians, Germans. The list goes on and on. Beatty goes on further. Censorship did not come from the government down. There was no dictum. There was no declaration, no censorship to start with. No. Technology, mass exploitation, and minority pressure carried the trick, thank God. If you don't think this is what's happening right now, you are blind. Thanks to them, you can stay happy all the time. You're allowed to read comics and good old confessions or trade journals. The public dreaded the unfamiliar. Quote, we must all be alike. Not everyone born free and equal, as the Constitution says, but everyone made equal. Books were a problem. A book is a loaded gun in the house next door. Even front porches were eliminated. And this is creepy. This is like COVID land here. People sat there sometimes at night, talking when they wanted to talk, rocking and not talking when they didn't want to talk. Sometimes they just sat there and thought about things, turned things over. They didn't want people sitting like that, doing nothing, rocking, talking. That was the wrong kind of social life. People talk too much, and they had time to think. This is amazing. I got to go back and read this book. We should do a book club, by the way. If you want to do a book club, it's kind of like I asked earlier, if you have game suggestions that you think I should play for certain video games, and I really pray you do not pick Zelda or Final Fantasy. I made that clear, man. You know, some games you just don't want to play. But the thing is if you have any suggestions about games, we're going to be doing a poll on that. I'll include answers in the comment section with that. Okay. But also book suggestions. Maybe we can do a monthly book club. People can read books, kind of stay on top of what we're doing. Social distancing also keeps us safe from, quote, conflicting theories and thoughts. Chairs have to be removed from social gathering places. Hallways are quiet. Nobody stands around the water cooler. The scuttlebutt is silent. People have a few places to talk with each other. The parallel to porches is haunting. But here's the thing. Those places that we have to talk to each other, those have been wrangled in here. We're a herd, and we found our way into the lane of technology. The very people who are running the regime of censorship. Porches are a problem. Churches are a problem. Schools are a problem. Pools are a problem. Any of these places are a problem, because at that point, how are you going to censor? How are you going to monitor? And how will the chilling effect, right? The fear that one has to go, should I talk about this? I'm watching as people are getting booted left and right because they're talking about this. I don't want to be next. How is that going to affect people when they're sitting out on their porch? The closest they've got is thinking maybe their phone is a panopticon. And in a way, it kind of is. The home environment can undo a lot you try to do at school. Aren't we learning this? Just yesterday, we showed the meme about the teacher saying that, you know, she's afraid these kids are getting red-pilled at home. And that she's failing. That's right. You're failing to indoctrinate. That's the problem. Because, see, here's the thing. Teachers have lost the idea. They've lost the idea that they represent the parent. And not representing the parent to teach whatever the heck they want. To inflict their own values on that person. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Leave that social justice crap at home. Or talk about it strictly from the place of history, in the history books. And what happened. And let those things debated right now be debated right now. And I'm not saying there's no place for that whatsoever. I'm glad that there's debate in school. I think we should have more of that. But it's unmoored. There's no anchor. They're not studying philosophy. They know nothing of the classics. Their concept of tradition or the past is garbage. It's a perfect storm for propaganda. They even anticipated justification for looting. Some claim that rioters are merely damaging property, not people. Yeah, quote, look at this. You weren't hurting anyone. You were hurting only things. And since things couldn't be hurt, since things felt nothing, and things don't scream or whisper. It's amazing. It's amazing. Ends with this. Today, how many say nothing to their neighbors and colleagues about COVID-19 for fear of being accused of not valuing human lives? In Fahrenheit 451, silence helped pave the way for the public's embrace of tyranny. I can't be quiet anymore. I encourage you, do not be quiet anymore. I know that I'm putting myself on the line. This is a big deal. I'm trying to make money so that my kids can go to school. We make sacrifices for that. That's why I do this show every single weekday from 10 to noon. That's why I do it. That is a big thing. If I were to be canceled, if this show were to be dropped, and if the YouTube channel were to go away, and Facebook and Twitter were to go away, if that happened, that'd be devastating. That'd be absolutely devastating. And you know what I would do? I'd work harder. I'd work even harder. Because you have to. You have to realize where you are right now. We are in an arena that is on fire. The savages are inside. They are destroying everything that you love, everything that you've cherished. They are destroying it. They want to replace all of it. And you. And you. They hate themselves. And because they hate themselves, they're hating everybody else. Unbelievable. Nicole Starkaniski, I like that last name. It's harmful for the lefties because it's not their agenda. They want people controlled. Yes. Yes. It's about control. That's what I was saying. Like, once they got us into that place, imagine for a second all of the people who've ever said that they don't like corporations. And this is, I was telling my buddy, I said, look, man, you know, because my buddy Dylan I was talking to, I said, there's a lot of people that are baffled that I support President Trump. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. He's an awesome president. But they're baffled, and they go, you know, you read a lot of books, man. You're a smart guy. You know, you've won an award, political science, stuff like that. You know, you've been honored for your activism over the years. Big things. And I said, well, you know, there were certain things like the military-industrial complex, right? Fake news, immigration restriction. Because I'm not a Ron Paul-styled libertarian. I believe that the government has a role to play. In that way, I'm totally a populist. It's Maganomics. I'm Father Heinrich Pesch, the father of solidarism, that basically says, you know, there's a national economy. There are ethics of the national economy. It's a great book, by the way. Okay. You know, but I'm into that thing. But I told him, I said, look, part of it, you know, part of the reason why I support the president is not just because of all of that, but because, in all honesty, he's sitting there and he's fighting this fight in a way that says he's unafraid to take on these regimes of censorship. It's not just simply he's emboldening people to say, look, you know, he's taking on groups that say, we're the ones that control this narrative. We're the ones that tell you what you must believe. We're the ones that have access to this. You sit back and comply. And I remember, too, I said, think about this. And this is the major thing right now, relevant to right now. I told my friends, I said, think. For years, I've been against this kind of corporate capitalism. I like the free market, but I'm not laissez-faire. Okay? I like a free market. I'm not laissez-faire, right? Where it's just all the way, right? The night watchman nonsense. I'm not down with that. Okay? But I said, a lot of my friends on the left, that was one of the areas where there was a great deal of commonality, that they said, well, we're also against corporatism. They saw the documentary Corporation, for example. And if you haven't seen the documentary called Corporation, you should. Because in the end, it says a corporation, in this sense, is like a psychopath. If you go down the checklist, it's a brilliant, brilliant movie. I encourage everybody, all of you, put that on your watch list, Corporation. But when COVID happened, all my lefty buddies wanted everything shut down. All the mom and pops, all the Main Street stuff, all the independent retailer stuff. And the only places you could go were large corporate facilities, outlets, places like Amazon. And I thought, in your world, those people wouldn't have existed. What would you have done? What would you have done? Now are you all of a sudden like, Amazon's the best now? Oh, well, I've been against Amazon for a long time. I've been against Walmart for a long time, and seeing what they do to local economies. I've seen it. I've been against it. I don't like all the corporate stuff, but in the end, that's the only place that you're allowed to go. It's the biggest corporate scheme ever. Ever. At the expense of tons of everyday Americans, Johnny Q's and Sally Sue's all across this country, that right now, they don't have work anymore. Places that have shut down. That blood's on your hands. That blood is on your hands. And I will not, look, don't believe them anymore. If they come, I don't believe in corporations, blah, 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 echoing Bernie, tell them to shut up. Tell them to shut their yappers. Some of us have brains that can remember past a day ago. We're not consumed with current events in such a way that we can't remember what somebody said last year. Some of us got some good brains. Some big brain stuff. Don't forget. Don't forget. In fact, we should start a campaign to say their name, talking about these businesses that have shut down and those families that don't have money anymore, that may lose their home, people who've committed suicide because their hopes and dreams and everything, if it wasn't shut down because of COVID, or maybe it even was shut down because of COVID, and adding insult to injury, kicking somebody in the crotch when they're down, BLM and company come in and burn the place down. Say their name. Say their name. Kashan Petgrave says that some people like the sense of being controlled. Yes. Black, white, woot, woot, another podcast every day, brother. Every day. Yeah. Nicole says, I love your red hair, by the way. Do I have red hair? I've heard this. I have heard this. That I've got red hair. I've always thought, that I'm a blonde. But it's gotten darker as I've gotten older. But yeah, okay. Yeah, it's red. It's red. Which is kind of weird because I don't know if I've ever really, a lot of my best friends have had red hair. It's just true. But I've also had an issue, I think, with a lot of redheads throughout my life where I'm like, man, that redheaded person, and it might be, look, it's, it's kind of like one of those beta fish. It'd be an alpha fish for me. Don't go running with that. Don't go memeing that. Off topic, but you thought you'd say, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. I used to wear a hat all the time, and I said, well, why not just let it out? You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's see. During a baby's development, another comment, it's important to see faces, but how can they when there's so many masks? My kids have autism, so learning faces is important to them. Asking what book the quotes were coming from, Fahrenheit 451. It's a great, great, great book, by the way. Adam says, deleting me makes me want to get even louder. Do it, brother. You have to. And we got to raise each other up. If you like voices that are dissenting voices in these terrible, tumultuous times, lift them up. Lift them up in prayer. Share their stuff. I love it when I see people share. I am encouraged when people comment or say, hey, man, dude, you've made my day at work better. I'm hoping to lift you up. And comments like those, shares like those, people who've become members since this began by going to paleocratdiaries.com and becoming members, reaching out to me and saying, look, would you consider doing a roundtable discussion on some of this stuff? That helps to lift me up. Lift each other up, man. Lift each other up. St. Michael the Archangel goes, my question is, why is that man wearing the priest collar? Oh, talking about yeah, good question. The election judge, right? Well, those folks are living a satanic life, so it's no wonder. No corporations, well, no jobs. We all need food, shelter, and clothing. Yes. Yes. The idea that you'd have to see what they mean by corporations. Like when you're talking about scale. Right? There's a book, Small is Beautiful. It's an excellent book. And there's things of scale to say, and there's a limit to this argument as well. I used to be kind of a purist when it came to things like distributism. And I'm not anymore. Right? And I guess I never really was. I was never like a hardliner because I was kind of a mix of many things. I liked Pat Buchanan. I liked his arguments in The Great Betrayal, right, about free trade. Globalist free trade and how it's ruining the country. And so I never embraced entirely this kind of agrarian thing, but I've also been influenced by that, like the Southern agrarians, also known as the Vanderbilt rebels, right? Southern rebels. Really, really great. They wrote a book. Is it I'll Take My Stand or I'll Make My Stand? I think it's I'll Take My Stand. And then the other one is Who Owns America? Hillary Belloc, by the way, wrote at the end of that. So that was kind of interesting because it was kind of the American branch of distributism. But those things have played a role for me. So I see a valid place for some of these stores. But I think that there is a reasonable debate to be had regarding how many stores does that gobble up compared to how many stores that actually builds up. Like, and maybe Amazon is even a little bit different from a situation like, take Walmart. You know, you could go into a Walmart and you can walk around from the front to the back. And actually, there's a food theory talked about milk being in the back of a lot of these stores that people have to go through, so that they go through a lot of different customers will go through a lot of different parts of the store in order to get there, right? So you go through, and you're going through how many different departments? In the past, those departments typically would have been stores specializing in that. And so you would have had people who not only would have known more about it, but would have been landed locally. And there's a significant value to that I think a lot of people, they don't factor in, that the human dynamic to that says the owner of this is actually in this town. Most of the time, they're going to stay there. Most of the time, their money will be reinvested in that town. Whereas a global group, international, it's not so much. They don't have a flag per se. They're not connected to the land. They're connected to the dollar. There's no additional dynamic, because that's not bad. You, as a business, you have to be connected to the dollar. You'll go out of business. But to say, okay, you're connected to the dollar and you're connected to the land. You're connected to this place. That's why we say buy American. American, make it in America. There's a reason why. You can take that same concept and boil it down to local and say, how many different specialty stores can you find within a Walmart? It's just a question. We're not talking about it right now, but it's a question to have. So, but they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have their food. They wouldn't have their shelter. They wouldn't have their clothing. But here's the thing. A lot of these small stores, in reference to what I was talking about, they're all forced to go to Amazon to pad the pocket of Bezos. Washington Post Bezos. I mean, give me a break. What the heck is this? Jennifer goes, you're strawberry blonde. How'd this conversation turn into the color of my hair? I don't mind. I'm glad to see that it's not just a sausage fest on the show. Because it's a real problem with that, by the way, sausage party. You know, I don't mean to be crude about that, but you know what I mean? You know, I don't like that it's just testosterone all over the place and a bunch of dudes in there. I like that it's a mix. I think it's reflective of the kind of culture that we need and the people that we need to drive forward an alternative that says we are not going to submit to this great reset, to this new thing that the globalist elite lizard people are bringing on us. Last comment. I just hope Trump can get in for his second term. We'll go down a hill if Biden's elected. Oh, you're in Canada. Oh yeah, your prime minister is a joke. Yeah, and he admires countries like China. Pretty bad. I want to say one more thing. I'm going to actually skip over a bunch of stuff, say one more thing, then we're going to go to memes. We're running out of time. I actually disagree with Jose Nino over at the Big League Politics. I love it. I love most of his stuff. He says Pope Francis calls immigration restriction a primal reaction. In fact, it is. I support refugee and immigration restriction. And I admit that it is rooted ultimately in deep primal things about us. But I don't say that that's bad. And I don't believe that the Pope says that that is inherently bad. Certain populist political regimes. So the Pope is talking, by the way, about stuff that I support. So let's get that out in the open right away. Right away. As well as certain liberal economic approaches, maintain that an influx of migrants is to be prevented at all cost. Now, I would say, I don't know where those places are at all cost. Not even Hungary. You know, Hungary has a pretty restrictive system. So does Israel, by the way. Almost every place. In fact, I don't know how many countries around the world just have open borders where they're like, oh, we believe they're imaginary lines. How many do that? He says great numbers of lives are at stake. Fratelli Tutti. brothers all. So, and I don't even know if it's an encyclical, is it? There's a categorical distinction. Is it an encyclical, by the way? I realize that some people are hesitant and fearful with regard to migrants. Okay. I consider this part of our natural instinct of self-defense. I've said that on the show. That liberals have this mindset that everything is fine, right? That not everyone and not to the entire degree, right? This is quantitative, right? To say that it's a tendency that prevails, prevalent. And the conservative people are the kind that, you know, I've used the example of hearing a branch break behind you in a jungle. You know, the idea is that mechanism of the mind, that deep-rooted lizard brain thing going on that says, turn around and put your dukes up. You don't know what's back there. And this is where you're dealing with this, yes. But that's also something that God put there for good reason. Sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it can go off the charts, but it's fundamentally a matter of survival. The Pope asks everyone to move beyond those primal reactions because there is a problem when doubts and fears condition our way of thinking and acting to the point of making us intolerant. This is where they're to the point of. Yes, if you are now closed and perhaps without even realizing it, racist, if perhaps you are, if it has gotten to that place where you are strictly intolerant, then in this way, it's not a full thing, in this way, to this point, fear deprives us of the desire and the ability to encounter the other. Now, I don't personally care for that phraseology, the whole encounter the other stuff. And it's voodoo. It comes from a worldview and from a lexicon that is not very Catholic. The Pope observed that in a number of countries receiving migrants that, quote, migration causes fear and alarm. Yes, it does. Often fomented and exploited for political purposes. This is also true. This can lead to a xenophobic mentality. It can, yes, as people close in on themselves, and it needs to be addressed decisively. Many migrants have fled from war, persecution, and natural catastrophes. Others rightly are seeking opportunities for themselves and their families. They dream of a better future, and they want to create conditions for achieving it. Yeah. Yes. It's totally true. There's nothing, I don't see what's wrong with this. Unscrupulous traffickers, frequently linked to drug cartels or arms cartels, exploit the weakness of migrants. Again, true. It's one of the reasons why we don't like illegal immigration, by the way. It's one of the reasons why it's good to have a wall. It's traffic control. You say, look, you can't go here. It'd be like saying, well, you know, it's the difference between telling everybody that it's like a Mad Max world. You can drive all over the place. Doesn't matter. Drive all over the place. Or somewhere that says there are some roads here. Now, I know that there are people who would say, Jeremiah, have you never seen what is it, man? What is it called? Where the roads it's just an open space. People are walking around and driving, and it kind of creates a pattern of order on its own, self-ordering roads. But even those self-ordering roads are in a place, by the way. But yeah, traffickers often experience violence, trafficking, psychological and physical abuse, untold sufferings on their journey. Migrations, more than ever before, will play a pivotal role in the future of our world. It's likely true. Which is why we do need to decisively deal with this. Which is why we need a wall. It's also why Trump is right to say a big, huge door. But they got to go in right. The Pope said we're obligated to respect the right of all individuals to find a place that meets their basic needs and those of their families and where they can find personal fulfillment. That is true, but that's also a call to the host nations, by the way. I mean, it's going to create deserts of like there are food deserts, for example. You can drive through a town and you might go miles and miles and there's no place for food. Oftentimes in very poor neighborhoods, by the way. I almost poked myself in the eye with this straw. Oh. Let's see here. Yeah, but it takes the idea and says, look, if you have these food deserts and you there's nowhere around, there's no food, it's going to be creating, if people are leaving their host country and their host country, they're not contributing to the idea. And a lot of this comes from the grass is greener on the other side, or just straight up envy. This doesn't exclude that as a possibility. And it's a demand as much to the host nation, to the person who wishes to migrate, and to the person who wishes to migrate, as it does to nations that eventually may receive migrants. Yeah. He said it's important to apply the concept of citizenship, which is based on the equality of rights and duties, under which all enjoy justice. It is therefore crucial to establish in our societies the concept of full citizenship, and to reject the discriminatory use of the term minorities. Well, this has to be enraging to the SJWs, by the way, which engenders feelings of isolation and inferiority. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, look, that would be like saying, that's almost Teddy Roosevelt level stuff. Saying, stop the hyphenated thing, man. Call yourself American. Go all out. Be faithful to the oath of citizenship that you took. We'll go through that sometime. It's powerful. And very few people, well, I don't want to say that. There's a disturbingly large number of people who don't take that seriously. Yes, full citizenship, which, by the way, would be rights and duties. These are responsibilities of the person to the host country. In America, straight up, be an American. I'm sorry to say it this way. Be an American. And that means something. It's not a blank slate, man. America came from somewhere. It has believed many things. It is premised on a number of assumptions. Yes, this is all critical of it. I don't think that Jose Nino. Look, I like Jose Nino. I like big league politics. I just think that they're wrong about that. I think that there's a number of groups that are wrong on that anyway. In the comment section, so here it's considered racist if we don't just keep it open and free for all. When you go to another country, you have to follow their rules. But that's what I'm saying. I don't think that is. I don't think that's what the Pope is saying, and at least not in this exhortation, which I think it's a pastoral exhortation. There's a difference in these things, right? The church is pretty specific, and it has different levels of authority, right? And so obligation for people to believe. But it's one of those things that I'm really grateful for the negative chrism that comes along with the assurance of infallibility, because, people can say, well, look at what some of the tweets say. I don't know if the tweets are protected. So, Japan is very hard to immigrate. They've had a system that works for them. Yeah, it's totally true. They have a mindset that they must work for the good of all, not just the individual. Here we're more selfish. I think there's a good balance. I think America has a good balance. We get a bad rap, I think, as just being like, Ayn Rand style people, talking about the virtue of selfishness. We do, but we're also very, very strong in our sense of groups, institutions. De Tocqueville talked about this and the role that those things played in our founding. Great comments, by the way. Great comments. Okay, we're moving on because we're basically at the end here. So, all right, it's meme time. Meme time. I'll share a couple of these memes here. Okay. Boom. Oh, go ahead and scroll up a little bit. Okay. I try not to have it so that you can't see it. You know what I mean? I don't like to have it so that people end up seeing the memes before before they get shown, and talked about. So, okay, we're going to talk about this a little bit. I'm always nervous, but I think this is an automatic share. I think Telegram does that. I started a Telegram recently. Yes, Nicole. Memes every day. Every day we do this. And some of the memes, Dear white vegans, stop appropriating food. How do you appropriate food? You eat it. You eat it and then it goes out. It leaves the body. We all do that. You don't poop differently. And if you do, check out the hospital stat. You need to go immediately because something is wrong with you. 2020 has been a rough year for all of us. Paula Abdul. Oh my gosh. Do you guys remember Paula Abdul? I think she's still probably really pretty though. I haven't seen her in a long time. Excessive force in the front, resisting arrest in the back. Okay, yeah. Hey, is that appropriating? Or did the Vikings and stuff do that? Like how long have Western people been doing that? Go back into European history and stuff. Fear is the real contagion. Fight it by practicing media distancing. I saw this on my buddy's site. My buddy who was actually banned, actually. Sometimes all a person needs is that one missing piece. $1 billion. What? Dude, I could use that. That'd pay for my kids' schooling. I'm like 1,000-dare right now. Is there a term for that other than kind of broke? Like, what's the term for somebody who's got like thousands of dollars? 1,000-dare? What is that? I was recently asked who my favorite vampire was. I said, the Muppet from Sesame Street. They told me he doesn't count. Oh, come on. I assure you, yes, he does. Okay. Yes. I can think. I can probably, if I had to think really hard, I could probably think of 1, 2, 3 reasons why that was predictable. What we really need is wider and shorter plates of nachos. No more tall towers of chips and toppings. Look, I'm doing the carnivore diet right now, but I anticipate the day that I can get back to a nacho Bel Grande. Actually, no. Do they even have those anymore? Yes, they do. They have the Nacho Bel Grande. I think they got rid of the smaller one. What was that? Nacho, what was it called? What was it called? They got rid of it, though, I think. They're forcing you to eat bigger. They're like, no, you need to eat bigger. You need to eat more. But I'm down with this. The idea, like, I do like the chips, but I'm really using them as a spoon. If there's more chips than there is cheese and meat and stuff, something's wrong, man. Something is wrong. Something is wrong with this. A little diabetes. Look at that double chin. Like, she's still cute, but you're feeling for her. You're like, how many injections a day is it now? Yeah. Dang, son, that's a lot of drugs. Dang, son, you're putting one of the drugs in your outfit. This guy. Look at this. He's like, maybe people won't recognize it. I don't know, man. You got a big block of some heroin in your belly. Hey, come over. Him. Can't. My son took the car away. Her. I'm watching Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, dude, look at this guy. That dude's pretty hardcore, though, man. I ain't gonna lie. He looks like he's about to do some kind of ollie. Maybe that 12 stare. You know what I mean? He's going to do those rails like Tony Hawk, the game where you can just keep going and going and going as long as you balance. This guy is the king. This guy is the skate king. We got to call it. New bubble wrap will no longer pop when you squeeze. Dude, is this serious? I know it says HuffPost. I've been tricked before. I need, hold on a second. Allie. Dude, if this is the second time we use this intercom and she's not answering. She might be on something already, working really hard. She's a pretty hard worker. Hey, Allie, are you there? Ain't happening. You're letting me down, girl. You're letting me down. I need people right now. I need people right now that can figure out if this is real. Because everyone on the planet would be just like that. Oh, man, look at that cat. Look at his face. Is it really crying? It looks like it has like a little drip. It's like everyone on this planet. Oh, yeah, look, peaceful protester. Yeah, that's a problem right there. I met that guy. Good guy, by the way. Loving the boys. I'm proud of my boys. Violent white supremacist. Yeah. Yeah, look at him. He just looks like he's having a fun time, like whistling while he's working. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's... What is he doing? I didn't know he was one of the boys. Just know this is what you look like while you're trying to explain to me that Joe Biden would be a great president. Okay, I got you. Knock, knock. Who's there? Who's where? Oh, there's a great thing. I don't even know if I even talked about it. There's a great Ali Alexander has put together this hashtag Joe Biden is sick. I think it's a .com, actually. .com. Oh, what a great picture. Look at that. You know, quarantine hair is nothing for Trump. Trump's like totally down. Why people of color need spaces without white people. An article. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot of space, actually. That's a lot of space. Let's see here. Ooh. New Leviathan comes in visages of the supposedly oppressed. Caller. Help, they're breaking down my door. They're chanting, they're going to kill me. Operator, listen, ma'am, I'm going to need you to kneel. Yeah, raise your fist. Raise your fist. Liberal Christians. I heard a preacher say Jesus is going to damn the unrepentant wicked. And the liberal Christian guy's like, no, you can't say that. It isn't loving. Real Christians. The preacher said Jesus is going to damn the unbelievers. Bro guy, we must share the gospel with everyone then. Yeah, isn't that just the way that works? Okay, someone sent this to me. What? Yeah, is this a real book? I bet it'd be a nice book. Does anybody in the chat, has anybody read that? And look at those shoes, man. I've said it before, I love the style. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I love the style, and I don't mean to be implying too much about this, but I love even the apron. It's super cute, especially when you're wearing shoes like those. Those some monkey pumps. What's up with that? Me and my profile picture, me in real life. Look at that fox. Oh, dude, look at his face. Somebody told me I look like that Mayor Frog or whatever his name is, man, from Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. They say when I smile. Media deception, it is this easy. You can see, look at it up here. You can see video like that. And then if you look down, it actually looks like that. And that's true. That's true. Remember male to female. The girl says, the patriarchy even labeled electrical connections? I'll let them decide genders for themselves. Oh, yeah, the explosion. Stuff can go too far, guys. Stuff can go too far. Is your child a far-right extremist? Look for warning signs. Aversion to drugs, alcohol, and pornography. That's true. Even the Proud Boys, you ain't allowed to do certain things by yourself. The idea is to get you reconnected with the wife. That's what it's about. Interest in physical fitness. Look, hey, it's true. I mean, I'm losing that weight, man. I'm losing that weight. Mental well-being. Doing the Wim Hof, yeah. Growing collection of classic literature. Behind me, folks. Monogamy, desire to marry and procreate. We're on number 6. Increased time spent outdoors or in nature prior to lockdown. Yes, and it's part of one of those things that working on it. I want to take my dog on some walks. Might have my dog down here sometime. She likes laying by my feet. I love her a great deal. She was a present for our daughter before she died. It's a St. Bernard. Her name's Coco. Beautiful dog, by the way. Beautiful dog. Appreciation of nature, history, and culture. Disdain for modernism and postmodernism. And I would add, it looked like they cut it off. Listen to Paleocrat Diaries. Yeah. I think it's just edited, guys. Somebody cropped it. Some children find spending time in nature distressing because it can trigger feelings of anxiety and despair linked with climate change. That's because their parents are in a cult. Tis but a scratch. Okay, yeah. Oh, I get it, man. That's I kind of like that's one of those movies you gotta watch it once in a while. You know what I mean? When you sit on a toilet and realize you forgot your phone. Things are now in motion that cannot be undone. Imagine trying, though. Imagine the person who's like, hold on, I think I did start, but maybe. It ain't looking good for that cat. Ain't looking good. Let's see here. Yeah, so uncool, I'm cool wrote, you're not recommending exercise. You're bullying someone personally. And the doctor wrote, actually, since I'm a doctor, I'm bullying them professionally. Yeah. I'll skip over to some of the serious. Oh, that I cannot skip over this. I love this, by the way. I have a huge. My mom made one of those. What is it called? What do they call that? Little eatsy kind of glass pieces, stones, right? That you set in and create this beautiful picture. It's actually considered. They call it drawing. I forget what it's called. Stone art or something like that. Anyway, it's beautiful. I have it upstairs. But this is great. I love, and that artist is just amazing. A picture of my home. I don't know why anybody sent that. A picture of my home. And that right there is our hot tub. Our pool is actually underground. That's the hot tub. And we swim in the ocean. We must not mind insulting men if by respecting them we offend God. That could never be more true. St. John Chrysostom. Yeah, not in my city. You get it. You know what that is. Yeah, don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. I want to skip. I want to find a funny one, though. That's the end of them? What? You guys went all political on me. What the heck? Okay, I'll show you the last ones, then it's over, because we're right there at the end. Okay, apparently, borders are just imaginary lines on a map. He crossed 8 lines. Yeah, isn't it true? Isn't it true? It's like they're at a protest, abolish the police, and then somebody comes up and punches them, and they're like, oh, 911. And you're like, dude, don't you get it? Man, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Unarmed white Americans killed by police in 2019. Name one. I'll leave it right there. Take a screenshot of that. Tell me if you can name one. Maybe you can win a prize because Money Down says the vast majority of you screaming, say their names, don't know a single one. You probably don't even think that they exist. And you are wrong. Like you're wrong about a bazillion other things. Alrighty, everybody. It's been a really good time. I guess there's, I'm so sorry. One more opinion. In your opinion, sorry, last question, then I will, you don't have to, you're good. You're good, and make sure, tons of questions all the time at email, paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. I will talk with you. Serious conversations all the time, paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. What, in your opinion, is our society's greatest failing today? What about this time period makes you cringe? Well, I'll tell you. Other than I won't answer this today. In fact, I'm going to take a screenshot right now of this. Taking a screenshot because I'll address it tomorrow. I'm on tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Okay, it's going to be a whole bunch of fun. I'm going to try to have more funny memes. If you guys have memes that are funny, don't just stick political on me, man. I talk like an hour about politics. Give me a break. I want to laugh at, fat little Debbie and stuff. I want to do that. I want to laugh at liberal tears and everything. And so send me those things too. But you can send them, of course, paleocratdiaries@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter and on Facebook and on YouTube at Paleocrat. So make sure to do that. But I'll go ahead and I'll talk about that tomorrow, especially because you're a housewife, right? And so you'll be able, you may have difficulties with struggling per your admission. But the thing is, you're in a good place to watch the show tomorrow. I hope we hooked you. I hope we got you. And that you at least stick around. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do it. You did some really great questions. Loved the comment section today. Had a really great time with everybody. Make sure, once again, every single Monday through Friday, from 10 to noon. And make sure to check out the other things that I do, Paleocratdiaries.com. That's kind of going to be the hub for all of this. And now that I've got the walkie-talkie, as long as Allie's on call, Allie Lovesick. It's like the secretary from Powerpuff Girls or something. I'm the mayor, right? And so, you sit there, and people who heard the voice over the walkie-talkie, I think you know who that is, by the way. You should. She's been the voice of an intro for the show many years. An amazing woman, right? Best woman in the universe, in my humble opinion. But you got to check out the other stuff as well. Paleo Cheese Podcast. It's a lot different than this. We talk about movies. It's not themed around religion and politics, but we talk about a lot of really fun things, have serious discussions about movies, TV, books, writing, even silly things like, food and music, malls and perfume, all of this stuff, political correctness, censorship. We have a lot of fun with that show. And on Meaning of Catholic, I'm going to be on in 2 days debating Timothy Flanders on Meaning of Catholic, because I'm a contributor over there. I don't contribute enough, but he's heard your outcry. Apparently there was enough of you that were furious and said, "Where's Jeremiah? We need the Paleocrat back." And it reached up to the high levels over there. And Timothy himself said that he's heard the cry and he's called on me to come back. And so I'm a contributor making a comeback over there. Might even in the future host a couple shorter shows all by myself. Meaning of Catholic special. So it's going to be a bunch of fun. Thank you so much again for joining us. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And until next time, remember, as my daughter used to always say, and as St. Alphonsus says, okay, never give up. Keep on smiling and memento mori. If I don't talk into microphones, I don't make that mad cash. Making all that money. Making that mad loot, right?
Mind control.
So we see the minority elite imposing their ideology on an unwilling and resentful populace. This causes a backlash. People get ticked off.
The left is working long and hard to make us feel as if we've done something wrong. Worse yet, that we are the problem. Don't let people just rip on your heritage. Don't let people just rip on your traditions. Don't let people rip on your heroes. Stand up for what you believe, what made you who you are. So unless this disenfranchised majority begins standing up for what they believe in their heart of hearts to be true, I think we'd be left with nothing more than a dirge, and maybe a funeral procession.